Jack the Ripper. The name alone evokes chills, conjuring images of Victorian London shrouded in fog and fear. His gruesome acts in the autumn of 1888 terrorized the Whitechapel district, leaving an indelible mark on the city's psyche. 5 women, their lives tragically intertwined, became victims of a brutality that shocked even the most hardened police officers. The Ripper's reign was short, his victims seemingly chosen at random, and yet the mystery of his identity continues to fascinate and horrify over a century later. The Ripper's crimes weren't merely acts of violence, but spectacles of depravity. He didn't just kill, he mutilated, his blade moving with a surgeon's precision. This surgical element only amplified the terror, suggesting a killer of uncommon intelligence and chilling detachment. The newspapers, hungry for sensation, seized upon the story. Each gruesome detail splashed across their pages. Fear became a palpable presence in the city, seeping into the very cobblestones of Whitechapel. In the heart of London's East End lay Whitechapel, a district shrouded in poverty and despair. It was a place where the sun rarely pierced through the thick, oppressive fog that seemed to hang perpetually in the air. Its labyrinthine streets, shrouded in a perpetual fog, provided a grim backdrop for the Ripper's reign of terror. The narrow alleyways twisted and turned, creating a maze that was both a refuge and a trap. Life in Whitechapel was harsh, the air thick with the stench of poverty and the cries of street vendors competing with the clatter of horse-drawn carriages. The streets were alive with activity, yet the undercurrent of desperation was palpable. The gaslights, feeble beacons in the encroaching darkness, did little to penetrate the gloom, casting long, distorted shadows that seemed to writhe with unseen menace. These flickering lights were the only semblance of safety in the otherwise foreboding night. The cobblestone streets, slick with a mixture of mud and grime, echoed with the footsteps of its inhabitants. Dock workers returning home after long shifts, their weary faces etched with the struggles of the day. Weary mothers struggling with their burdens and young children forced into lives of petty crime to survive. The children, with their innocent faces, were often the most tragic victims of this harsh environment. It was a place where hope struggled to flourish, choked by the ever-present realities of poverty, violence, and disease. The slums were a breeding ground for despair, where dreams were often crushed before they could even take root. Into this world stepped Jack the Ripper, his presence as unwelcome as it was undetected, transforming the district's fear into sheer terror. His shadow loomed large over Whitechapel, a constant reminder of the lurking danger in the darkness. The victims of Jack the Ripper were women, each with their own story, their own hopes and dreams brutally extinguished. They lived in a time when society offered them little protection and their lives were often marked by hardship and struggle. Mary Ann Nichols, known as Polly to her friends, had fallen on hard times, her life a cycle of poverty and hardship. She was a mother, a friend, and a woman who deserved so much more than the cruel fate that befell her. Annie Chapman, a woman worn down by life's cruelties, sought solace in alcohol to numb the pain of her existence. Her struggles were a testament to the harsh realities faced by many women of her time. Elizabeth Stride, a Swedish immigrant, struggled to make a living on the streets of Whitechapel, her dreams of a better life fading with each passing day. She was a symbol of the immigrant experience, seeking hope in a foreign land. Catherine Eddowes, known for her kindness despite her circumstances, often shared her meager earnings with those less fortunate. Her generosity shone brightly in a world that often seemed devoid of compassion. Mary Jane Kelly, the youngest of the canonical 5, dreamed of escaping the squalor of Whitechapel, her beauty a flickering candle in the encroaching darkness. Her aspirations were a poignant reminder of the dreams that many held, despite their dire circumstances. These women, marginalized and forgotten by society, were mothers, daughters, sisters. Their lives, though cut tragically short, were no less valuable, their stories no less deserving of remembrance. They were part of the fabric of Victorian society, each thread contributing to the larger tapestry of history. The brutality of their deaths shocked a nation and revealed the dark underbelly of Victorian society. Their tragic ends serve as a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities faced by women in a world that often turned a blind eye to their suffering. The night was alive with the sounds of the city, the distant clatter of horse-drawn carriages and the raucous laughter spilling from pubs, providing a disconcerting soundtrack to the unfolding horror. The crimes, each more brazen than the last, were as shocking for their brutality as they were for their audacity. The Ripper didn't just kill, he butchered, his victims found with throats slashed, bodies mutilated, their insides exposed with a surgeon's precision. These weren't merely murders, they were defilements, acts of unspeakable cruelty that left an indelible stain on the very soul of Whitechapel. The Ripper's knowledge of anatomy, combined with the almost ritualistic nature of the killings, led many to believe that the killer was a doctor, a butcher, or perhaps someone with intimate knowledge of the human form. Whatever his profession, one thing was clear: Jack the Ripper was a monster. His heart as cold and unforgiving as the fog that clung to the cobblestones of Whitechapel. As the body count rose, fear gripped Whitechapel in a stranglehold. The police, under immense pressure to catch the killer, found themselves chasing shadows in the fog. Every flickering gaslight, every darkened alleyway seemed to whisper the Ripper's name. The investigation, hampered by dead ends and false leads, became increasingly desperate. Suspects emerged from the fog of fear and speculation, only to disappear back into the labyrinthine streets. The police interviewed hundreds of individuals, searched countless lodgings, and followed every whisper and rumor that swirled through the streets. The investigation, however, seemed to be a game of cat and mouse, with the Ripper always one step ahead. Each new victim brought fresh waves of panic. Each gruesome detail splashed across the front pages of newspapers, further fueling the city's collective terror. The Ripper, it seemed, was a phantom, moving unseen through the fog, his presence felt but never truly grasped. Theories about the Ripper's identity abounded, each more outlandish than the last. Was he a doctor, driven mad by a hidden depravity, or perhaps a barber, his mind warped by the tools of his trade? Some whispered of a sinister conspiracy, claiming the killer moved among the upper echelons of society, his crimes shielded by wealth and influence. Names were whispered in hushed tones, accusations flung like daggers in the dark. A leather apron found near one of the crime scenes led police to suspect a local leather worker. The discovery of a blood-stained shawl sparked speculation about a Jewish butcher. Even Queen Victoria's own grandson, Prince Albert Victor, became ensnared in the web of suspicion. Though no concrete evidence ever linked him to the crimes, despite the numerous theories, the Ripper's true identity remained elusive, hidden behind a veil of speculation and conjecture. The murders abruptly stopped, as if the killer had simply vanished into thin air. The streets of Whitechapel, once filled with fear and dread, slowly returned to a semblance of normalcy, but the scars left behind were indelible. The fog that had shrouded Whitechapel for so long eventually lifted, but the shadow of Jack the Ripper remained. His presence lingered in the minds of the people, a ghostly figure haunting their memories. He was never caught, his true identity never confirmed, his motives forever shrouded in mystery. The police, despite their best efforts, were left with nothing but questions and dead ends. The lack of a definitive conclusion only served to fuel the fires of speculation, ensuring that the legend of Jack the Ripper would live on in infamy, Theories abounded, each more sensational than the last, capturing the public's imagination. Today, over a century later, the case continues to captivate and horrify. The streets of Whitechapel have changed, but the echoes of the past remain, drawing tourists and true crime enthusiasts alike. Countless books, documentaries, and films have attempted to shed light on the Ripper's identity and motives, but the truth remains elusive. Each new piece of media adds another layer to the enigma, keeping the mystery alive. Was he a brilliant criminal mastermind who managed to outwit the police, or simply a product of his time, lost in the anonymity of a teeming city? The debate continues with no clear answers in sight. The answer, like the fog that once enveloped Whitechapel, remains elusive, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the heart of even the most civilized society. The mystery endures, a testament to the human fascination with the unknown. The story of Jack the Ripper is a testament to the enduring power of mystery, a chilling reminder that some secrets refuse to be buried, their darkness echoing through time. As long as there are questions, the legend will live on, a dark chapter in the annals of history.